Anyway, what we do as an organization is we work on the CRM, mobile technology stuff, and basically we've worked with a lot of companies, small, large companies, and you really aren't really sure what kind of data you're going to get until you dive in and marry their data to the CRM app. You know, some small companies are great; they got great data. Come on up, yeah, let's just hang out. And you know, some large companies don't have very good data, and you're completely surprised as how the heck they can run their businesses when their data is not very good. So the good news is that, you know, we can leverage that data into meaningful items for you guys. It's kind of silly doing this as a total formality, but so really it's how do we leverage that data to incorporate it into your CRM initiatives. So I'm not sure if you guys already have an existing CRM that you guys are using. And Bernie, you guys got one rolling right now.
Yeah, we're our third one now.
Yeah, kind of exciting and fun.
We use since we're an Oracle house, we're using the Oracle CRM. No, we abandoned that one. We got another one now. But anyway, we've had 3 versions of CRMs.
Okay.
And the Salesforce is, I think, starting to get used to that process now.
Right.
Settling down.
Yeah, we have one client that's on Oracle for now. So we have a division of Rexel, and we take all the information and marry it. But we basically interface with ERPs A to Z. You know, your traditional ones that are in the distribution space. You know, the Epicors now and the Infors to homegrown systems, and then more traditional SAPs and Oracles. What I wanted to do today is just to take a quick tour of S&P Desktop, mostly from the standpoint of the data that comes in and what you can do from a sales and marketing perspective, and then tools for the mobile workforce. I mean, Bernie, the biggest issue that we've seen over the years is we've had like really great, management tools to review activities, track opportunities, coach the sales process, but really getting your salespeople to really engage. I think the new technology has gotten to that point because that's what allows you to have, your customers at your fingertips on your device of choice, whether it's an iPhone, a BlackBerry, a Droid, various tablets. Now you have that instantly available to you, and there's no excuse that you don't have to fire up a laptop or go home and do the notes. You can instantly update that information. So the recent developments in mobile platforms and tablets has really enabled the complete collaboration of CRM across your enterprise. So as an organization, we basically take 2 traditional disciplines that a lot of times aren't married together, and that's your analytics part married to your traditional CRM. CRM is usually about your customers, contacts, and activities. But to really empower it and make it a very powerful CRM, it's great if you can provide your salespeople, all the transactional history that goes with that customer, what they're buying, what they're not buying, by your product groups, by your cell groups, by your price lines, so you can come up with your own schema that makes sense for you. Now you're providing valuable data to your team, not just asking them to input activities and contacts. So that's a really big deal. We make it really easy for companies of all sizes. We're a software as a service model, so that means that we host the database, we back it up. This is not a big IT project. If anybody's looking for a big IT project, we're not that company. This is a pretty fast startup. We set up the file spec as to the data information that needs to come in, and then it gets updated on a daily basis. Essentially, we incorporate your data to classify products the way you want to. The big deal is that there's hooks to Outlook, to Word, to Excel, so to your traditional Microsoft Office suite, all seamless. There's direct links between S&P and Outlook, so it allows for bidirectional syncing of contacts, meetings, activities. So what this means to your team is that if they want to update something using SMP Desktop, they're welcome to. If they want to go into Outlook, update a meeting, update a contact, update an activity, they're welcome to do that. If they want to do it on their PDA or tablets, they can do that. And then it all links up automatically to your, to your main desktop application. And the same is true for your mobile devices. So with your IDW data, and this is a different spin because I was thinking more on the distributor side of presenting this.
I'm hearing that because obviously we don't want to make this information. I'd like to see how they use an IDW because when I read your description, I couldn't figure out how that was going to help.
Okay.
For the
So
manufacturer, I'd like to know how it's going to help the distributor.
well, perfect then. So if you're providing the UNSPSC codes, there's a great way of being able to use that as your schema for how you categorize products. So they can and then fill the holes in targeted marketing campaigns and stuff like that based on that. Or if they really wanted to tie in pretty close to you guys as manufacturers, they can either do it with product codes, so that when your team meets with the distributors, you guys are talking apples to apples. Not only do you give them the scorecard that says here's what your sales have been, but the distributor has a sales and marketing database that you could say strategically, I'd like to grow this segment of business with you guys. They can instantly analyze their customer base and say, here's some great targets, set up some marketing, set up some target account planning, some joint calls, and do that stuff and really focus on that. So that's how you get to leverage that. And I'll show you that in the database. So if we were going to leverage the UNSPSC codes, basically it allows for automatic stamping of a distributor in this case, or whoever it might be, their items that go into the database by family, class, or category. And in some of the sessions they talked about leveraging this type of stuff for storefronts, for web storefronts. Well, the same type of thing can get leveraged to your distributed sales force so they can manage their customers' buying behaviors by these family, class, and categories. Does that kind of make sense, Bernie?
You're saying the distributor's going to find something they're looking for by starting with a UNSPSC code like this? And just drill down? Or what are they doing here? I don't understand.
Well, I can't drill into it because I don't have the spreadsheet open.
But what's the
But essentially, you end up.
What's the distributor salesman doing when he sees this? What's he trying to get accomplished?
Well, he wants to see what product mix his client's buying from him.
Or what client?
Okay, so what's the end user customer, whether it's a contractor or a plant, what's their buying mix? So if they look up a family of products, in this case lamps and light bulbs,
right,
then they could go into the classes of lamps and light bulbs and drill into that, and then they can drill into that class and get into categories. They're buying this in fluorescent lamps, they're buying this in incandescent, here's what they're doing in HID. They can actually drill all the way and have a very meaningful conversation with their customer about what their buying behavior is. Does that kind of answer that?
Yeah, and they're looking at their data, the distributor's data, right, or what they sold.
Correct. So it just depends on how your organization would want to manage your data. For you as a manufacturer, it would be your product categories, so that your team can then meet with, do you sell through reps or direct?
Factory direct, a lot of factory direct.
Okay, so for your factory direct guys, it's perfect. Here's our types of products that we sell. They meet with the distributor and they say, hey, you're buying only product A and B, but what about C and D? And I know we compete with brand X. How do we get that business from you? And then you can do some target marketing with them to their client base. So if we wanted to take a live look at this, what this all means is that, with SMP, you get a collaborative sales and marketing database, which combines your CRM with your analytics process. So you have a home screen, and it's permission based, so corporate would have access to corporate, a regional might have access to a region, field sales rep would have access to his or her assigned account package, right? You just break it down in that fashion. And these are key performance indicators, and you can select and put different ones that you want, whether you do graphs or lists, but it's all pretty intuitive. It's point and click. If you want to look at your losers, you just hit refresh. It updates your chart, and you get information about who your losers are. So on that, the navigation of SMP is really we call these subject areas. You can look at customers, you can look at your activities, you can look at, the projector's a little hard to see, you can look at major opportunities, your pipeline, and then you can leverage your product groups when you're looking at your pipeline as well. You can set your goals and potentials. The analytic tools where you leverage good IDW data would be market analysis, parts analysis, and business comparisons. And then you can look at, data view as your reporting capability through OLAP type stuff. So all of your reporting you'd want to do, you can do right out of there. But if we wanted to drill into an account, we can drill into a specific account. So you have your accounts A to Z pop up right away. You can look at your contacts. You can update your contacts right through here. You can update your contacts through your PDA or through Outlook. I'll show you guys that real quick. Your transactional history comes in, and Bernie, this is what you asked a little bit about. Well, what does that mean? Well, now at your fingertips, you can look up an account and see what they're buying by product categories. You can drill into those product categories and get subclasses of those categories, whatever it might be, different brands or details within that brand, so that you can.
This is what I thought I would see, I sure would see, but I don't see the use of UNSPSC codes here.
This is a dummy database.
Yeah, it's okay.
So,
I mean, back up that one where you had somebody's product line.
Yeah. So if this was driven with your UNSPC codes, you'd see those families of products would be here. You drill into it and you get your class.
Okay.
You drill into it and you'd get your category.
Got it.
But you could also do it by price groups, by manufacturer codes, however you want to drive that. You can look at all your variety of activities that you have going on with the account. You can look at your pipeline. And now you're also in your pipeline area, you're also leveraging those product categories. So you can see what your opportunity is with an account in fuses versus lamps, et cetera. And you can have multiple product categories tied to that. If you wanted to run a quick report on, buying behavior, you can. It all goes to Excel. Here's your product families. Here's what a customer's buying by month, projected year end, previous year, percent change. The big deal here, it's just a quick scorecard, but it's really easy to see, they've never bought these products from us. Yeah. Should they or shouldn't they? I don't know, but there's a 75% chance that that client didn't know that you sold those lines. I mean, that's the reality of how it really works in the real world. From here, I'd like to just kind of, I don't want to do a whole tour of this because that's not the point of this session. But if you go to data view, this is basically OLAP reporting where you get n number of measures that you can use and you drag and drop them. And then you get different attributes. I just happen to pick customer attributes so I can look at all kinds of different things related to the customer. But I said, let's do this by customer type so we can drill down and say, how's our resi business, OEM, MRO business doing? And then I can look at it by product categories. And this is where you can leverage those codes or product class or other things that you have in IDW to leverage that. So essentially, it's just a great way of being able to grab data, look at specific pieces of business that you care about, graph it automatically, run reports, save
If
those.
the salesperson was doing this, would they be restricted? Would they see the entire operation of that distributorship, or are they boxed in with their accounts or something?
Perfect question. The functionality is the same, but the user login dictates your data depth. Okay. So if you you would log in, Bernie, as a corporate executive, you'd have everything. You might be able to drill it down by region, by branch, by location, by sales rep. If I'm a salesperson, it limited my set to my assigned account package, whether it's 2 accounts or 500. From here, let's go back to customer real quick, because what we wanted to talk about is mobile technology and stuff like that. So, for instance, here's your PDA. I mean, if you want to look up customers or contacts or activities or meetings coming up, can. It's the same information. So let's go ahead and look up Ball Electric, which is the account we have here. It's a hosted app, so I'm right now calling servers in California and updating all this stuff. So it's working pretty good, and I'm not on a very good connection. So it's pretty impressive that you're able to do this just on the fly like that. If I want to look up, I mean, I can map the account, I can make a phone call from here, I can review the notes of the account, you know. It's the same notes that are available. I can update all this information. I can go in here and select the contacts that are related to this account. Same contacts we have here. I can go ahead and we'll open up Josh. So I'm walking into this account. I can look up the account. I can look up the contacts. I can look at any, you know, specific notes that I had about the contact. I can look at activities and read those activities and say, here's what I need to do next time. And I can actually then just record those right then and there for while I'm in the field. The same is true on your iPad or iPhone or anything like that. Hey John, how are you?
Hi.
And for those who like using Outlook, I mean, I just did an Outlook sync of all my customers in, you know, company view, so I can actually look up the accounts, update my contacts, add a contact, add a prospect. Here's my record for this account. This is the exact same information. I could update my notes. They automatically sync to everything else there. Same is true with any, you know, joint calls, meetings, anything else you may want to do. All of that's instantly available. So some of the adoption issues that CRM had in the past is really great for management. They really believed in it. There's a little disconnect sometimes in getting the distributed sales force to use tools. Well, now with full-blown integration with Outlook, they can do that. More importantly, while they're in front of the client, they can just update anything they want on their tablets or mobile devices. That's made a really huge difference on that end. If we go back here, some of the fun stuff that you can do within this to do some targeted marketing and things like that. We can go to market analysis, for instance, and I'll just run this. And this is my accounts A to Z, whether I'm a, you know, corporate account guy or you know, salesperson. I get my accounts A to Z. I can then very easily look at who's up, who's down by various things, goals, margin, you know, year over year, different things like that, share. Now we can start leveraging some of those categories. So maybe we're going to go into distribution equipment. And in distribution equipment, I want to find everybody who's off by, you know, 40% or more. Because I want to grow that segment of my business. So I have 318 accounts that did $2 million, did $1.5 million last year to date, compared to 231,000 now. We're really sucking wind on these accounts. We're at 14%. Well, I wonder if how many of those, since I'm going to be with one of my key manufacturers, maybe I want to see how many of those really belong to GE, because I'm going to be meeting with GE. So now I'm running a query. Here's what my GE historical sales have been. Specifically within that, I can drill into all the way down into panel boards versus load centers versus lighting. Pretty powerful. Now that you got the data, that's the data reporting part. The fun part is actually making it actionable. That's where we really excel. Go to mailers, update my list. Here's my 300 contacts that I have that are folks that I need to tell them to, you know, promote some GE products. So I can now sit with my manufacturer for 2 minutes. I won't log it. promo, GE, attach a flyer, do your first name, your notes here, send. You did targeted marketing all the way down to product category or class instantly. You saved it as an ongoing marketing list. You can bring it up, track the sales. Did it work? Did it not work? All at your fingertips that easily. That's a big, big deal.
Could you get it down to the individual items, so your high velocity items that you might want to be pushing?
You can. I didn't do that, John. You do that in parts analysis, which takes you all the way down to part description, part number, so you can do that. And then you can do that by date range. Show me, you know.
Have you found that distributors would, I know you can do it, so my question is really,
sorry.
really, have you find distributors using it to that level, getting it down to where they could actually try to push a high velocity item or something like that?
We see them do that. We see them also for certain product lines where they need to do a certain product recall.
Yep.
They can look up a specific SKU and say, this is a recall between this date range and this date range. They instantly get a list of who are the customers that did that. They go to word merge, they mail them a letter, and they can shoot an email blast to them as well and incorporate the manufacturer's recall notice instantly. But it's also good for doing, you know, Series A. Series B came out. I want to promote everybody who bought Series A so I can clear out everything from my shelf. A. B, I want to let everybody know, subsequent to that, that Series B came out, and I want to be one of the first ones out there telling my client base that Series B is available and it's in stock.
And you can either do it through the assigned salesperson or directly to the purchasing agent at the company who bought the product.
Correct. Business comparisons, it's kind of fun. This is a great tool for saying, hey, I'd like to grow my fuse business. How do I grow my fuse business? Well, if I have a big OEM space that I call on, I know that, you know, these OEMs are buying enclosures from me, and if they're buying lots of enclosures, they should be buying some fuses. So I'm going to say product category 1, enclosures. Target category, fuses. And for every X dollars in product A, I should be selling some percentage in product category B. That makes sense, Bernie? That's hit run. I found 410 accounts. I sold them $1.1 million in product A. I should have sold them 273 grand in product B. I actually only sold $35,000. I can penetrate that space and grow my fuse business by $238,000. I can instantly group it by salesperson, so if I wanted to, salesman George has 19 accounts, Jack's got 148. Print a list, give it to them so they can go talk to their customers about it. Save it as a target list, or I can just go right into mailers again, refresh my list, and now I'm going to get all the contacts. I have 400 contacts for those companies that are all buying greater than X dollars in boxes and not their fair share of fuses, and I can just go to my email. I won't log it, you typically would. This would be a fuse promo. They go with
Joe,
the enclosures.
Have you moved this into UNSPFC codes, or are you still on commodity code?
You know, John, a couple slides earlier, you could totally leverage those codes, but and then you could do family, you know, class and category. What I've found is that it's not adopted in the distributor community yet.
Yeah.
They're not in the ERP systems. I mean, I'd love to tell you they are, but I'm not seeing that. But if it was, and that's part of what you guys are doing as IDW, if you were able to, sorry, I can't, you're blurred with the glasses on. If that was highly adopted, then absolutely, you can, it doesn't matter how good or bad the distributor's data is in terms of a product schema, you can have a default universal one, that, you know, out of the box, we could provide them that categorization, so it allows you as an organization to really teach them how to market with those, you know, fine tune those so that they're more meaningful all the way down to the levels that they need to be. But typically what it means is that we look at, depending on the ERP, you know, for Eclipse maybe it's cell groups and product select codes, since I know you've implemented some Eclipse sites, right?
Right.
You know, maybe buy line and price line, but if you want to get into the more details, it's usually cell groups or product select codes.
Which they have built into their own product offering, so it's customized.
Correct, so every distributor will then leverage that, but typically what's going in there is data that is provided by the manufacturers to the IDW, which is, you know, the product codes, the cell codes, or the price groups, whatever you may want to call those, price 1, 2, 3.
Right.
I mean, that's really what gets leveraged into that. So I just wanted to show some very quick leveraging that data to grow the business. Additionally, some new fun stuff is the ability to actually eliminate virtually any obstacle to a field salesperson updating notes. They're already living in their PDAs and tablets. It's not a big deal to update a note. But if you really didn't want to do that, you can just record a note, attach it to the customer, attach it to the contact, attach it to an activity. You can bring it up whenever you want.
This is a test of the sales Raventos audio notes functionality from within the desktop application.
I mean, there's no reasons for not updating, and you can convert it to text, and it lands in your database.
You convert to text?
Yep. So, I mean, that's A to Z.
What are you finding most distributors are building the categories off of? Class, subclass from the manufacturers?
You know, for certain manufacturers, because of the volume that they do with that account or what it represents to that distributor, you know, if it's 20% of my business or more, I might care enough to break it down into categories that line up with that brand, you know. We've done some with specific manufacturers where, you know, we'll have their entire item master. So if the distributor hasn't taken the time to actually set up all those categories, we'll actually automatically stamp it for them based on part number. So we'll match it to part number and match it to manufacturer, because at a minimum, every distributor is going to tie an item to a manufacturer. So we'll tie that, and then we can give them a super clear schema that lines up exactly the way the manufacturer goes to market. So when they're doing target account planning, when they're meeting with them to update, you know, a quarterly review, it lines up. Boom, boom, boom. And then they can look at, here's all my opportunities that I have by product category, by detailed class, by subclass. So we've done that. That works pretty well.
How extensive is the, like you use the enclosure and the fuse? So obviously those aren't bought from the same manufacturer, so you built a family.
Correct.
Clothes, you have a...
Yeah, enclosures, and there might be 4 brands of enclosures. They might carry 3 brands of fuses, but every organization would like to manage those in one way or another, and it really depends on the type of distributor and some of
Have you built the mapping for the family? Do you have family maps in the system? Did you build them, or the distributor building them, and how did you do it?
We've built some ourselves that we can do. Just like if we were going to do the UNSP codes,
Right.
we would just go ahead and build that, because basically it's a lookup. If it's this item, we know it goes to this family, to this class, to this category, and you take the raw data and there it is. But within that, distributors may want to have a view where it shows by class of products, but they might want certain brands that they really care about.
Right.
So some of them do it by brand, and then they break down that brand into more details. If you guys would like to see, I'll hand these out if you guys just want to look at what it looks like on a.
Brands are uniform between their stock between three manufacturers?
I didn't hear you.
So you can, oops, sorry, but you can grab customers' content. We try to make it really simple. You know, there's your caps. You know, the one we're playing with is Ball Electric, wherever that one. I think it's the third one from the top. You can look at the notes. You can look at different things regarding the account. You can update that stuff. I mean, it made it really easy.
What if they have, say, three competing lines, and they're not using an SPSC code? Then there's another uniform breakdown by product class or something that's uniform between all those three suppliers, or are you forced to work with three different breakdowns?
You know,
How do you break down that product line into like customer, not customer class, but product?
well,
categories?
like your company.
Yeah.
Your company is going to cut across multiple commodities, right? I mean, that's just that. I mean, that's just that, and it's okay. So it'll cut across multiple commodities. I mean, there'll be some of your brand that'll be in commodity A. Once they drill into it, they'll find there'll be some that'll be in commodity B, commodity
That's
C.
why I'm asking, that commodity A you call it, that's
Yeah.
there's an industry-defined commodity? I mean, how do we get the commonality between the three manufacturers if you're not using UNSPSC codes?
You don't. The distributor basically created those families.
Okay.
But and what I mean by created those families, I just want to flag what I mean by that. That doesn't mean it has to be native to their ERP. Okay, because we have the flexibility in SMP. Basically, they create those, and they name it anything they want. This is my master class. Here's my 20 master classes. Master class 1, I'm going to break that down into 50 subcategories.
Okay.
And each of those subcategories, Bernie, I want to break it into this. And then below that is the fourth level, which is the lookup that says, here's the thousands of SKUs that go into each one. And then we map it for each distributor organization so they can call it anything they want. So they can create those families without having to have them
When they
native
call it
in their
anything
ERP.
they want, when they call it anything they want, how do they get those specific SKUs into that, what they just call it?
Because we map it.
Or you map it
Yep.
by manufacturer into that one, right?
Yep.
So they got three competitors, you've got to map all those?
Yeah.
That's the service. That's really the service. He's showing you the iPad, but the service is all this stuff behind the scenes.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, we have core competency in doing that, and we set it up the way they want to manage their product hierarchy and their sales and marketing efforts.
Seems like a huge job.
We've seen lots of good data and we've seen lots of bad data, but we have a very flexible, we call multi-pass rules. First pass, do this. Second pass, do this. Third pass, do this. And it lands where it needs to land.
But it's a huge task. That's why you know it's like AFS. It's like filling out the UNSPSC attributes.
So if you had UNSPSC, though, it'd be a hell of a lot easier, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why I brought it up as one of the big slides, because then you can have, now what you've done is you've taken distributors from very small to very large, and more importantly, organizations that maybe haven't spent enough time with their item master to really set stuff up, and you've brought them up a whole level because they can automatically have an industry stamping. Right? Does that make sense? So really what makes us kind of unique in the marketplace, it's a hosted application, which makes it really easy for an organization to adopt it. Not a huge IT project. 4-week implementation. We do the heavy lifting. It's extremely cost effective. You can start with as little as $250 a month and you get 5 seats and you get all this great functionality. There's some implementation fees that we have to charge to set you guys up, but it's a nominal fee. And you can add users as you want, one at a time, blocks of 10, blocks of 100, all the security's all there, all the integration with Outlook's done, so you can instantly update stuff in Outlook, have it land in the right place. You can leverage a whole bunch of segmentation information that we've discussed here, you know, using your schema of choice, really it's a big deal, or hopefully leveraging some industry standards. You know, that's part of trying to adopt standards. It makes it easier for all of us, for us as a software vendor, for the distributor, for everybody. And then the mobile PDAs now instantly being able to look up an account, update activities, read your notes, look at your sales history right then and there before you walk into the account. All that's at your fingertips. And you know, more and more people are judging, you know, your reps by their use of technology. That's why everybody likes these things, because they look cool. Well, they look cool if you can actually make them a really cool tool on top of that. So anyway.
In my distributor days, this was actually, he was just starting it, but this is actually kind of a cool tool. Because if you take that 90%, 10% of your items and 90% of your dollars, you obviously that's the kind of thing you look at. So you're taking this big world, this cloud, if you want to use it today.
Yeah, you take these thousands of things and you narrow it down into these product categories, so you can say, Mr. Customer, thank you for buying category A, B, and C. But by the way, did you know that we carry D, E, and F? And not at the item level, just at a big conversation level, but you have the ability to drill all the way down. Well, thanks you guys. I know it's the last session. Appreciate you guys coming out.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.